I never know if this thing went live or not, but welcome
No,
to
I always have to
Pinnacle,
check.
a podcast for geeks. This episode is going to be about board games. Today I have my friend Danny on, who is a marketing manager for Pandasaurus. And welcome to
No, I always have
Pinnacle.
to check.
I've known you for like 2 years now,
Couple years, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, I think I met you the first time at Origins, right? We don't have to talk
Yeah.
about Origins, man. I shouldn't have brought that up.
No, how
Okay.
we met is a happy story. Because my partner, he came over and he's like, okay, okay, I have this really cool print that we have to buy, and we have to buy two of them. I was like, okay. So I rushed over, said
Oh
hi,
yeah, that's
and we
right.
wanted your awesome metal prints, and you were showing us all of your paper prints, and we're like, no, man, give us the good stuff.
That's like people always say, whenever people say that to me, I'm always like, yeah, because my angle's always, I feel like people don't want to buy the expensive products right away, or because the metal prints cost money to make, right? So I'm
Hmm.
always just like, I always try to sell you on the prints, because in my head I'm like, Comic Cons and stuff, that's what people can afford.
That's true.
um,
That's
but
true.
yeah, occasionally we get somebody like you guys who are like, um, no, give us the good stuff. so, so yeah, I think you guys bought the fail the test with the exploding planet, and
And we have the traveler.
oh, everyone buys the traveler.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
So I mean I have yet to recreate that magic again on another character piece. I think I spent my most a lot of time on there. But yeah, that show was good for me because I think that shows what led me into a lot of the board game work I've been doing recently.
Well, you'd already done Renegade at the what is
At
it?
Gen
The
Con,
time. Hmm.
yeah, that's so like I've done some small games here and there. Like I did a game for Julia Hearn, just some background work. But Renegade was the first game where I had that whole game was mine. No pressure there, right?
It turned
So
out really well. I
yeah.
worked at Renegade when you were doing the concept art and like trying to figure out all the different suits and whatnot.
Oh, you got to see all
So
that chaos.
I did. I did.
Because like I remember telling them, they were like, "Hey, send us a couple thumbnails to look at," and I'm like, thumbnails, like it's like I'm one of those artists who doesn't do a lot of thumbnails. I just kind of wing it as I go along. But
Hmm.
jobs like Renegade are what basically got me into getting better at doing things like that, basically. So
Yeah. Mm.
I got to adjust something.
That turned out really well.
Yeah, I mean, what I really liked is how I really loved being at the Renegade their showroom, I guess is what it's called, because
Oh,
they
at Gen Con,
yeah,
like
they
the
have like that
separate.
whole room that they rent out, and like the level of um, appreciation that they show their artists. Like I'm new, right? Like I basically got recommended by Quan Chai, right, who's a really cool dude, who's a really
Hmm.
good friend of mine, and I was like, cool, man,
Yeah.
thank you, but like being in there and hanging out with the art directors and like the owner was there, and they were all super chill people. Like they treated you like you've been part of that family like forever, and you're
Hmm.
like, I like this. This is cool. Um,
Well, super recently, it's been a couple years, but like the importance of art in games keeps like increasing. That's one of the first things I look at, right? The quality of the art and does it fit and does it build the universe that the game's set in?
hmm I didn't realize um, the level at which like how important like the art and stuff was for these games until what you call it like my first Gen Con.
Mm.
Give me one. Yeah, I guess I'll just combine those videos together later because it totally dropped us, but we're fine now. Yeah, so like my first Gen Con when I was walking around the floor was when I was just like, wow, there's definitely a lot of art that people love on these games, and that's kind of like I grew up with like I grew up with like the old school Milton Bradley games, and like even as I was getting older, the games
Hmm.
I got were like the coolest. I remember one of the coolest games I used to love playing as a kid was Hero Quest. Do you remember that
Oh
one?
yeah?
That game, like I saw the cover,
No.
I'm like, there's no way I'm not buying this game. They just re
Did
they
you look
just
into the new one?
I was this close to buying it on, because Hasbro did their own like Kickstarter thing, remember? Which
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's kind of cool. Like they're basically like, hey man, we'll make this into a game if you give us a bunch of money. And I almost bought it, but I don't have time. Like, who am I gonna play with right now?
Yeah, yeah. That's
And
the question I ask myself all the time.
I was just kind of, I don't have room either. I live in a one bedroom condo, so. But I feel like it is a game I will definitely look for once shows start up,
Hmm.
or I might just buy it. Like I have the original, and one of my friends is like, "What? Why? Why are you gonna buy it? You already own the original. Like this is just a. It was. It felt like a reboot. Like it just looked nicer.
Hmm. I
Um,
mean, other companies like that restoration games, that's the whole premise.
mhm.
Rebooting and modernizing classics that we all grew up with.
They did the Fireball Island, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wanted that one too because that was one of my other favorite games.
You know
But
what though? Hasbro has a booth usually at Gen Con, so whenever the next one happens, they might have copies for sale, or you could at least play it then.
yeah, I've gotten into a I don't know if it's a bad habit or not, but I figured out that as an artist you can do art trades for games.
True.
So
You
I've been
have
doing that.
leverage.
Yeah, some companies are like, nah, we don't care, you know. But some companies are very chill about it, and they like if they like your like the dudes over at Yellow, like
Yeah, with Miranda.
Miranda and
Actually,
what's his name? Wow, I can't remember
mm,
his name.
I
Tall,
don't know. What's he look like?
tall dude, bald head. Um,
Cam?
Cam, yeah, those two. Like Cam always takes a bunch of the work from me and gives it away to the employees, which I think
Yeah.
is awesome, right? So it's not going to
Well,
just
so
himself.
I'd been hearing about you because I was the I did a lot of things at Yellow, but Miranda was my head volunteer,
Oh,
and
nice.
every origin she'd come by and be like, "I just met with my friend. Look at this sweet art." And it wasn't until 2 years ago when I met you face to face that I realized that you are the friend with the art.
Yeah, Miranda's been a huge fan since like day one. So it's always like it's always good when you have like they call like in our industry we have something called true fans. Like you
Mm,
have fans, which are amazing to have,
hmm.
but then the true fans are just one level up. They're like the ones that are gonna always like they're almost always gonna buy something from you, and
Yeah.
they're like they've been with me for years. So they're buying like a lot of them started like with prints, and now they're buying like the big metal pieces, and then so it's
Hmm.
kind of neat. Like Gen Con was fun for me because a lot of these fans went and bought. That game sold out, which blew my mind, at Gen Con. And then they came over to my booth to get it signed. So I was like, this is
That's
cool.
awesome.
And
You
I
had
was really,
events too, didn't you? Like the Renegade organized the signing.
yeah, that's what I mean. They had an event where they said, come to our this room, come meet the artist, come meet the designer. The designer wasn't here. I think he was in like Sweden or something. Fancy. Um, but I went there and they like had like I did an interview with this YouTube Twitch personality.
Oh,
I think
dang.
she's part of Geek and Sundry. I forget her. She was super nice.
Oh, Becca, wasn't it?
Yeah, Becca. Yeah, she interviewed me, walked me through the process, and then I sat there while all these people got in line and came in with a game and got it signed. It was like a total experience for me, which made me really want to do. And then, but the thing was is I was really excited to do my next game, and the next game was super rough on me. So
Oh no.
it was
Shoot.
just a different, whole different atmosphere, and didn't go well. And after that, I was kind of this it's partially my fault too. I took on more than I can do at that time, but I was like, so I've been kind of taking a back burner to them right now, and I really want to do. I actually they offered me to do the French version of that game, Time Chase, but
Yeah.
their timetable was so tight. Um,
Why would it need different art though? If it's just
so they wanted to do like I'm not sure I'm allowed to talk about it. They wanted to
okay.
change the inside. They were gonna leave the cover, so I think the cover stayed, which is awesome because my
Hmm.
stuff's still on the cover. But the inside they changed the cards to look like they're looking for more like what's the word, like pop culture art. So
Okay.
it wasn't necessarily like brand. It's like it was edging on like fan art stuff, and I was just kind of like, I'm not sure I want
Not
to do that.
not your
But
style.
it's not my style. But also like I wanted to do the job because I really like working with them. But they're their timestamp for getting it done was like 3 weeks or something, and the guy, or it was like a month, but the director over in France took forever to get back to me, and by the time he did, I was just honest. I was like, I need more time,
Mm-hmm.
at these pieces. That was the thing, they were super chill to work with on the first game because I literally was, my baby was born the week I took the job.
Oh wow, busy
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, I was busy, but I didn't say anything to them because it's like I don't want to lose the job, right? I was like,
Hmm.
I need this job. I want this job. So, but like getting back to board games, tell me about some of your favorite board games. Like,
Oh,
obviously there's a ton, right? But like,
that is a heavy question. Um,
I mean,
okay,
to
I
get
have a
let's
top three. I
yeah,
have a top
okay,
three. Um, I tend to like Euro games in worker placement, so I am what some people call a cube pusher, where
okay,
you're just moving pieces around the board. It's not a negotiation game. It's not a party game. Sometimes it feels like you're playing by yourself because everyone's quiet and like thinking and planning their turn ahead. Um, but my favorite games, my top three of always, are Through the Ages by
I
Czech Games.
haven't
Um,
played that.
it's so it can take like 3 hours to play. It's like Civilization, the video game. So you
Okay,
start off in like sticks and stones, and then you work your way up, building technology and increasing
so
your
yeah,
population.
I suck at those kind of games. I'm horrible. I used to play Age of Empires with my friends, and there were two engineers and one like anthropologist, I guess,
Well,
and like they were so good at it, and I'd just be sitting there like I don't fucking know what I'm doing. They'd be like 2 ages ahead of me half the time.
oh no.
It's
Oh
frustrating.
no. This one, it's cards. Like
Okay.
you're purchasing leaders and you're purchasing technologies or monuments, um, and you have to manage your population, their happiness, and what they're using to build these things that you're purchasing.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. It's interesting. I like it because the more you play, the more you know what technologies are coming out and kind of what you expect to see. Um, and I mean, I say this having not played it in over a year.
Wow.
I just taught my partner how to play, but I need a refresher now so he doesn't completely obliterate me.
Does it build that rocket ship first?
Yeah, right. But they have an app for it that has a really amazing tutorial.
Okay.
Uh, they the teacher is the designer. They made him a cartoon and he guides you through all the phases and teaches you how to play, and it's super cute.
That sounds
Um,
fun.
yeah, so recommend that. And the app makes it take like just an hour and a half instead of 3+ hours.
Okay. So all the
Um,
games. What's your next game?
it's called Caverna, and the theme is that you are all dwarves and you
Okay.
are building a farm, and you're also excavating a cave to build different rooms that give you special bonuses or powers, and you're mining for rubies or ore. Uh, I never do that part. I only make animals and plant vegetables.
And you can
um,
win that way, obviously.
I do win a lot
Okay.
of the time. I am very good at this one.
Okay.
But it's a riff on Agricola, which is like the OG farming game.
I don't know any of these games, man. I'm more. I like my games are more like. I guess they're like. I go between like
Hmm.
crawlers and like because like one of my favorite games is like we've been playing Gloomhaven.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, and I think I like game. What's the other one? The one with the little like chibi characters. Um, Dungeon Quest.
Dungeon Pets? Dungeon.
No, I forget what it's called now. It's basically the same idea. It's a dungeon crawler. You have a character,
Hmm.
you have spells, and then the thing I liked about Gloomhaven was like you have to be careful about exhausting yourself and how you play
It's
those
really
cards.
hard.
It's hard, man. Like I had, we, my friends and I are very kind to one another, and we give ourselves takebacks if you did
Yeah.
something where you're like, I didn't mean to use that card yet,
Hmm.
because I'm gonna die if I do that. I'd be like, yeah, take it back, because otherwise you're sitting there for like 40 minutes while your friends are still playing, right? And you're
Yeah,
just like,
there's no point. Like you play games to have fun and
yeah.
interact with each other.
So there's like no save roll in there. But on the opposites, on the other spectrum, I like King of Tokyo is one of my
Oh,
jams,
that one's
man.
good. That was one of my first games, my very first games.
That's like so that I think when I started getting back into board games, that was one of the first games I traded for,
Hmm.
and I like didn't even know what it was. I was just like, this looks cool. I like kaiju, you know.
Yeah.
And then I started playing it. I was like, this game is. I have friends who hate it, and it's
Oh,
because they feel like I think it's a 5 player game or 6 player game. I forget, but
I think it goes up to 6.
he hated it because it waiting for his turn always seemed to like not give him the turn he want. Like he wasn't getting the perfect round by the time it got to him, and I was just like, you maybe you're playing it wrong, because it's just it really shouldn't be. It's not. It's a very balanced game in my opinion. Um,
Yeah, and I mean, it's a dice game, so there's always going to be some randomness.
yep.
But because it's dice, uh, so it's a yellow game, so I've played it a ton, so,
Yep.
so many times. Uh, it's dice, so turns go quickly too. So even at 6 players, it shouldn't be a big wait.
I think that
So
sometimes my friends and I tend to overanalyze games while we're playing them, and
sure,
that
yeah.
takes time. But yeah, it's like I love dice games like that. Like just because, like you said, the randomness of it is always fun, right? You just like you don't know, you know.
Hmm.
I'm trying to
Oh, I
think.
like that in Gloomhaven too with the monster. I've been playing Jaws of the Lion, the new like mini version of Gloomhaven,
Is
because my
it?
partner was in the middle of the actual Gloomhaven campaign, so this is a way for us to
Is this a
like
standalone thing you could play without the?
yeah, so it has 4 new characters and like 20 different locations, like scenarios you can play.
Sure.
And it abbreviates some of the rules. So it's available now in game stores, but it like had a Target debut.
Jaws of the Lion. I'm writing it down.
Yeah. Oh my God. It has a 5 scenario introduction where each game it teaches like it reveals the rules slowly. So
Mm-hmm.
it actually wasn't until the 5th scenario that they taught me the you can use a card for 2 fight or 2 movement always. So it had this slow burn of
Okay.
strategy and situations. It was really good. So now I recommend it to everyone who wants to play Gloomhaven. I'm like, before you like dive into the
Yeah.
campaign, do this like
Yeah.
condensed
That's good.
overview.
Dang, I wish I had known about it because like we run into situations where we're like we're not really sure how this works, and then we always
Yeah.
have to look at like the Gloomhaven forums because
Hmm.
it's unbelievable how many scenarios we run into where it's fucking happened and to somebody else, and there's a
Right.
whole
Right.
thread explaining it, and you're just like, what are the chances, you know, like which is kind of cool. Yeah, we really like that game, and we also like the other game I was gonna say talk about was Betrayal at the House on
Oh,
Haunted Hill,
yes.
and I have the Baldur's Gate version,
Okay.
which I'll admit I bought it because Scott Fisher is somebody I've mentored under, and he did the artwork, and I was like, I'm buying this, but it's like the same thing but in a D&D type world, and I was like, this is
Okay.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
And I like those kind of games because like the house, I like the fact that the house never looks the same as you build it out.
yeah. Hmm.
I like the idea that like we usually play with five friends. You know,
Yeah,
my
it's
friends and I
perfect.
used to get around the table once every 2 to 3 weeks to get away from video games. Now, not so much because of the pandemic.
Right.
But I love the fact that one person becomes the essentially the bad guy, and then
Hmm.
you each have your own win scenarios. And I was like, I remember the first time I played it, there was I was a bad guy and I was a mummy who also had a bride. So they kept thinking they had to take the bride away. And I'm sitting here just like, no, I just have to kill you guys, you know, like, and like I literally
Red
just wiped them
herring.
out, and they were like, "Why didn't we win?" I was just like, "Cause you guys were supposed to kill me," you know, like, and just there's like, I think out of the 52 adventures in the first book, we've only done like maybe 20. So
No, so that was another one of my first games too, and I played it all the time. I was just so enamored with finding like experiencing all the scenarios. But
yeah,
I think I maybe did a half of them. There's so many.
dude, we got the witches expansion on top of that too now, and I kind of wish we didn't combine it because it's cool, but
Hmm.
it's like they try to throw in like dark humor or something because there's some like goofy things that
Oh,
happen or like goofy cards where I'm just like, are you guys trying to be
takes you
funny?
out of the immersion.
Yeah, it's just got a weird, like, I can't remember. Though there's a, uh, like, I forget. I'm trying to remember the weapon. There's a weapon that's like funny, and then there's one of the haunts was just like goofy, and I was just like, I don't like this. They did have a cool one where the house was like flooding, and they had to
Oh,
like get a boat to the roof and then leave.
oh, fun.
But they thought I was trying to kill them because the house also had tentacles and stuff. And then they realized I was just trying to kill the boat because if I kill the boat, they can't leave.
Oh,
So
true,
yeah,
true,
I
true.
was like, "Oh, this is awesome." Um, but like I've been more open to I had a game in mind. I just forgot it. I've been more open to like if somebody suggests a game. Like I played Scythe.
Hmm.
That game, I'm no good at games like that. Like you make one mistake or two mistakes, and you're like, there's no way you're gonna catch up,
I
right?
used to play um, when I lived in California. I had a very different gaming group, and that gaming group had a lot of engineers in it. So they're like super efficient. They
Yep,
could plan ahead. They knew like they could min max,
yep.
pro con, which is the best like most efficient move. So our games of Scythe literally took half an hour every time.
Oh, that went that fast.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm there like finally get my resources going. I've upgraded maybe twice, and they're like, okay, I took the center, like 7 stars done.
See, so I play with the other four boys I play with are software engineers.
Hmm.
So they have that same mindset. They're constantly like figuring out how things work and like they find the quickest way to like I feel like if I took them to a casino, these guys could probably count cards really well. Like they're
Right.
always figuring stuff out and I'm just like, well, I'm sitting here like I guess I'll buy some wood. Like
Uh-huh.
I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing right now,
I'm just
guys.
moving around the map to get
Yeah.
the
I'm just trying to get
key
to the end
event.
of this game so I can go have that pizza. Um but you know, we've been willing to like. So I get so many games randomly at the shows. Like I bring them to the table. I'm like, let's play the. Um, Obviously, Yellow has tons of games. That like Big Book of Magic is fun.
Hmm.
That game. So one of my friends was arguing was broken because he was always the last one to go, and we had eradicated the monster. By the time it got to him, I'm like, psh, let's add more monsters. I don't know what to tell you. But um, I'm trying to think. I just got a game. What was it? It'll come to me later. But what I was gonna say was like being in the pandemic and not being able to like go play physically with my friends. I've finally convinced them to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Online.
Just on a video call, and
Hmm.
I think obviously that game is more fun if you have a tabletop.
Yeah,
It's just what
I
it
I
is.
tried it too. The very beginning of the pandemic, I had a D&D game, and it was a one shot. Like we're gonna level up twice, go through one dungeon, and then that was it. Um, and by the end of it, it was just you know felt like
Yeah.
work. It didn't work the same.
Well, I've
There
been
was
using like
always some
Roll
technological
20.
difficulty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a Dungeons and Dragons show as well. But yeah, that's when you learn like how much fun you actually have sitting around the table with your friends. Like
Hmm.
they've tried Tabletop Simulator.
Yep.
Have you tried that? Which
Hmm.
there's a lot of games on there, but it just doesn't feel the same.
It the thing for me, so with TTS, Tabletop Simulator, we use it a lot for work, like
Sure,
with our
to
Kickstarter
test
and
it
our
out and stuff.
and game conventions. That's the only way we can demo our games. But it takes so much longer.
Yeah,
Like for Essen Spiel 2 weeks ago, we were doing demos of our new game, Gods Love Dinosaurs, which in real life is a 25-minute game. But we blocked off 90 minutes. It's a 25-minute game to play, 5 minutes to teach. But we did 90 minutes for the event, and some games didn't finish just because like people have
just
to get
how
used
slow
to
it's
how to
moving.
pick up
Yeah,
cards and stuff.
yeah. My friends were like, download Tabletop Simulator. We're gonna play Terraforming Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no good at that game. So I was like, I was frustrated playing that on the table. I don't think I'm gonna feel any better
Oh
playing it
no.
on Tabletop
Yeah.
Simulator. So, but I have friends who are making games, so I've been testing their games on Tabletop
Mm,
Simulator. So I know what you mean about it taking a minute, because sometimes like it took me a minute to figure out just how to use the app, and
right. Yeah.
um,
All different
I'm,
shortcuts. Like instead of moving the board, you move your camera and then it's all messed up.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I have been trying to create stuff for. I'm trying to work on a game for my series. I
Oh.
just haven't. I have a general idea of what I want to do, and obviously from this call you could tell I like dice games and stuff like that. So I'm trying to incorporate
Mhm.
those things, but I'm no good at mechanics. So I'm talking. You know, my friends and I are gonna be planning stuff, but I'm like, what we need is people that can do the math, because
Right. To
you know, there's
balance it,
to
make sure
balance
it's
it.
not broken.
Which that's where I kind of miss going to like the shows, because the unpub room is a good place to test things out. Um,
Hmm.
and also I was trying to find like what's that like I feel like people always try to find that one unique thing about their game that they put in there, but at the end of the day, it's like writing a book or creating a comic book or something. Like it's everything's been done. So finding that's special. I guess mechanics can't be copyrighted, so you can just like somebody can make another version of King of Tokyo, right? If they
And
wanted to.
I don't think that's bad. Like,
No, I don't think it's
uh,
bad either. I think it's
mishmashing, making a new sort of sandwich,
yeah,
taking things that people already love and combining them.
right.
Like, brilliant. Do it. No brainer.
But I was like, if I so like yeah, so in my head I was like, I like King of Tokyo,
Hmm.
but I don't want to make a battle royale. I just like the
Okay.
idea of the random dice that gives you abilities. So that's one step, right? And then
Hmm.
I like betrayal. I like the idea of this house or realm that would build itself out, right? But then also want to create characters and worlds inside of that. So I'm like, I got all these ideas. It's just like, you got to balance it out. And nothing about it is like 100% like, it's like picking and choosing from different games. But then, like, how do you make them all work together? Um,
Hmm. I have
and
no idea.
oh, no, I don't either. It's all a learning process, obviously. Yeah. I'm obviously going to get on a call with Julie at some point and talk to her about stuff.
Oh, she's so good.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like she'll just be like, "Oh, you just do this, and that, and then
Bing bang done.
yeah,
Game.
just hire me out, and I'll get it all done for you. Problem solved. I feel like that's how that call's gonna go. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, I'm trying to envision my shelf sitting out there, because I know I've got at least 7 or 8 more games that I really like. Oh, Boss Monster's a fun game.
Yeah, okay. Dave talks about this all the time. Like, I don't know how many times he's been like, this is a game about this. It's really cool. But I've never played it.
Um, Brotherwise is a wonderful company.
Hmm.
The, the 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 dude who runs it is a good friend of mine. He's super chill to hang out with at shows. He's very much loves artists. Boss Monster is one of these games that like it's a card game. What I love about it is it's a card game that you can just take with you. Like it's not like like when I go hang out with my friends at those game nights, I
Hmm.
literally have to get a duffel bag full of
Right,
game,
yeah,
right? Well,
yeah.
Boss Monster is like just simple, it's small, and the concept is literally you're a hero traveling through a dungeon, and there's a boss at the end that you need to beat. But there's all these like extra things that you go through, and it's all based on the luck of the draw with the cards too, right? So
Hmm.
you should play it if you haven't played. I think you'd enjoy it. The games are quick, and then they have like level ups and stuff. You can add extra expansion packs to it. But they did another game. Why can't I remember what it's called? I'm so bad at this. That's the problem. I haven't played games in so long. That's the problem. I'll tell you right now. Look it up. Where you're basically like you might like this other game because you're basically mining for jewels and stuff, and you have to build out your world, and it takes a minute
Oh,
to
oh, no, I know.
unearth.
What
Unearth.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm okay at that game. Um, Again, I'm not very good at those types of games. I just make one stupid mistake and it goes down the tubes for me, right? But
Yeah.
that's how I became friends with Chris over at Brotherwise.
God, the art in that game is so beautiful. That is what drew me to it instantly.
So I I heard about them because when I was at I think it was Origin, my first Origins. People
Hmm.
kept thinking I did the artwork for Unearth. Like they saw my stuff, then they came over with the game and kept asking me to sign it, and I was just like, I didn't do this game, and they kept doing it over and over to the point
Did
where
you ever sign it anyway?
no, no, no. I mean, Chris joked about it and was like, you should have just signed it, um, but I was like, no. I was like, who made this? And they're like, Brotherwise. And then I was talking to my friend Brian Colin, who I think you know, and Brian was like, just go talk to him right now. So that's when I walked over there and gave him my portfolio and stuff, showed him my portfolio, and I was like, hey, people keep coming over to my booth and thinking I made this game for you guys. So in case you're in the market for someone to make another game, here's my stuff, which is kind of nice. That's how we became friends. So,
no, that's good. I worked with Chris at Gamma.
he's a
always
super chill
nice
dude,
guy.
man.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
seems to like, he's one of those few, I don't know if you call them company owners or presidents or whatever his title would be. Like, he's one of the few that you meet who like genuinely care about like everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like, I'm just out here for myself. Like, he genuinely cares about everybody at the show with him. So I think it's very rare, but it's cool,
Well, I appreciate that about the board game industry because a lot of companies started small, and
Yeah.
so every person that they add to their team is like they contribute in a huge way, or they've made considerable strides. Even our volunteer team, uh, I love managing them because you just become friends with them. You spend so much time with them, and you could not do things without them.
Right.
Uh, so even though they're not like full time on your team, everyone knows who they are.
Yeah. I mean, the volunteers you meet at like the shows are like you could tell like they're all gamers. They're like
Mm-hmm.
they're not just like this is just a job. They're not there
Right.
saying that. They
They're
like
invested.
legitimately want like I'm working like Miranda obviously is working the
Yeah.
yellow booth because she loves that company, like and wants those games. Um, like she's a prime example of someone who loves volunteering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just for the
Yeah.
paycheck; it's for that. So yeah,
I met her my first Gen Con 2015 and just immediately bonded because I mean you bond with everyone you work a show with because you're
yeah,
spending so much time together and
right.
making memories and everything. But she would go to every show, so we spent a lot of time together. Always roommates. It was seriously like going to summer camp. I think I've never gone to summer camp, but I think it was like this because we stayed up to like 4 a.m. every night
Yeah, it's
talking.
like a sleepover. It sounds
Yeah,
about right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think 2015 was my first Gen Con too, but I didn't have a table there yet. I was working a booth with for the Angelarium stuff with, that's where I
Mm.
met Eli Manaya, who's like one of my really good friends now too. But that was my first experience at Gen Con. I've heard about it, but again, I wasn't like such a avid tabletop board game player that I was like, I need to go to this show.
Right.
But then when I heard there's artists in the show, I was like, okay, I want to check this out. And I remember my first 20 minutes outside of that booth, just walking around the floor. I was just like, there's too much here, man. Like my mind was blown away by all the stuff. And like I wanted to spend money on it all, but it's
Yes, that's my problem. I have
king.
to. I know some people only bring cash with them, so they're forced to budget.
That's what I. I mean, that's what I do. I mean,
It's
to
smart.
to a
I'm not trying
degree,
to
right?
do it.
Because your credit card's in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I'll just get that with the card. Yeah, that's how I'm at San Diego Comic Con because they have like so many exclusives. They have like
Mm.
over like at first I thought they only had like 20 exclusives at the show, but they have like
Oh, it's
200 plus.
wild.
Like
Hmm.
everybody has an exclusive, right? So you're just like, which one do you really want? But there's also like Gen Con reminds me of the show because there's always that random, um, like a random vendor that has like a specialty product. Like at last year's Gen Con, there was a guy I can't remember what his booth was, but they were selling like these. Um, I paint minis, so you had like it was like a handle with like an arm that looked like this, and the
Yeah.
mini sat in
Yes.
the middle.
In this booth.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and you can like turn the arm instead of like rotating in your hand. You just turn the arm and it rotated him around. I was just like, and that arm also comes in handy because it would sit in the crook of your hand when you're painting. And I
Ergonomic.
was just like, and I forgot to go buy one.
Ah,
I
oh
found the
my-
company online. I've got it saved. I have to order one, but I need to confirm that's them because I want to give him the money. I was like, I got home and I was like, oh, I knew you would forget. So I've also gotten good at just buying on the spot.
Yeah.
If I'm like, I'm
I
gonna use
I take
this.
a lot of pictures. Like if I'm not impulse buying and just like immediately shoving it into my purse, I will take pictures and be like, I'm coming back. Online
I'm
maybe, but I'm
horrible
coming
at that.
back.
You know what I also do is I send it to like people like Andrew and Brian, like, hey, check this out. So then when they respond, I'll be like, oh, I gotta go get that. Like, so the one thing I kind of regret not buying was I went to the. Have you played Kingdom Death?
No, but I know of it.
Dude, this game is so. My friends and I do this thing where like Gloomhaven's a good example. We only buy one copy because we're
Yeah.
like all of us don't need to own. Gloomhaven's like what $160 game or something, right? That's
Hmm.
something. And Kingdom Death is like a couple $100. I think it's $400.
Yeah.
And my one friend owns it and it stays at his house, but the game is like I don't get how people play this game because after like a first couple sessions, I was if you might as well be playing like Gloomhaven, which is a little more forgiving.
Mm.
Um, but it felt a little bit like D&D. Like it had the elements of like Gloomhaven, like a dungeon crawler mixed with a little bit of Dungeons and Dragons because of the randomness and the character creation. But it's very unforgiving. Like our characters would like my one character somehow lasted like 8 sessions, and my friends are like, "How do you keep surviving the attacks?" I'm like, "I shoot a bow and arrow." Like I stay way back here. Like you keep getting your head lopped off because you're running straight at the lion or whatever the monster is, right? But the fact that you had to like keep recreating your character and then retraining them and then it just seemed tedious, I guess. And
Yeah, I think
people
that I
love it.
get old. Uh,
I mean, the
well,
cool thing is their sculpts, their minis are
right.
they're
They're mini,
elaborate.
mini. They're humongous. It's
I mean, we put together this one mini of this monster boss or whatever. It was so intricate. Like we had to use my friend's uncle, I guess, used to be a dentist, and he had this crazy magnifying lens, and I had to like look through that with these tweezers, and I was going real slow to put just it was a lip of a skull he was wearing. He had like an alligator skull or something, and it
uh-huh.
was just this part right here, but it was so effing tiny, and I was like, why? Like the sculpt is here. Why not just build that into the mold?
Hmm.
It's almost like they're teasing you to see if you actually like. There's a bird of some sort in there. It's got like hundreds of tiny hands on its wings.
Oh, okay.
You can see it at Gen Con. It's there every year, and I think we put on 10 hands, and then we were like, we're done. We're good. And they're like, Alan's gonna paint these. I'm like, fuck no, I'm not. Like I was like, there's
Don't
no
sign
way.
me up for that.
There's no way, man. But I love that game had. I remember when they kickstarted because they made like 2 million or something,
Yeah,
way
like
more than that, I think.
this was a few years ago. It was like 2017 when the Kickstarter went, and they were like fulfillment in 2020. That blew my mind.
Well,
I
they were like, we're gonna send you the base game in a year or
Great.
two, and then
Mm-hmm.
one game, one thing every year after, and I was just like, people supported this.
Yeah,
Uh,
the campaign I saw with those waves. I don't actually know if I've seen another campaign do waves like that.
I haven't either. I was, and that's the thing that blows my mind. I mean, that tells you that at the level at which people love board games, right?
Hmm.
They're willing to invest in this game and say, I will see you in 2 years. Like I wouldn't pay. I just bought a Xbox Series X because my Xbox is kicking the bucket soon. I would not pay for it now and be like, I'll pick it up in 2 years.
Right, right.
Like I
I'm
want that in
I'm
my house in a month. So, also, wouldn't you like? I feel like people might have. I wonder if they like. I'm curious to know how many people forgot.
just got a surprise package every year.
I mean, if
Well,
you don't sign up for the fulfillment, they're not shipping it to you.
uh, yeah. Well, I move often, like pretty close to once a year average, maybe 1.5 years. But to
You
get
got a
these,
lot of games too. I remember you posted a photo.
I do. I do have a lot of games. Like I don't have many personal things. I'm not very sentimental with objects, so I easily throw things out. But games, those all my boxes, games and games.
I mean that's you're in the you're like in the industry,
It is
so
my
it's kind of
hobby and my job.
yeah. I wish. I mean, I think when I get a house, like we've been looking for a home, I think then I'll be able to like get a shelf with. I mean, most of my games now are in storage, but I do have a lot. But most of them, like I said, were gifted to me. Like
Mhm.
I paid for a certain number of them because I helped kickstart a bunch of stuff. That's the bad habit I've gotten into. When I see something, I'm like, I want to see this game get made.
Mhm.
And if it's in, if it's like $60, $50, I could swing it. But Gloomhaven, I was like, no way. It was like I'm pretty sure it was $150 or $200.
We just backed Frosthaven just
We did
earlier
that
this
too.
We went the all in, so that was like 270, I think.
You got the big one. Yeah, my friend, one of my friends loved that game on Xbox, Game Pass, I think. So then, when they made the tabletop version of it, they were like, "We're gonna buy a." I'm like, and I know I'm not gonna be good at it. I literally sat there thinking, at some point I'm gonna have to fucking play this game, and I'm not gonna be good at it. But I always play because in my head I'm like, you never know. Like you played Seven Wonders?
I love that game.
Okay, I used to hate it because I thought I was bad at it till I figured out, my strategy was mainly military strength, and I was winning that way. I won like 2 games my entire time ever playing with these guys, which one more than I expected. So when I win, I'm like, oh, I fucking won. One time I tried to build a wonder. I never did that again.
You don't build wonder.
I did. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was like, I guess I'll build this thing and try to win. And nobody said, don't waste your time building a wonder. I was like, is anyone doing this?
I always build my wonders. Or do you mean the blue cards?
Maybe it's the blue cards I'm thinking of.
Like all the statues and the ones that are just victory points.
Yeah, there's like some high end thing. I tried to build it and I failed at it. And then one time I went military. The first time I ever won, I went military without even like. I was like, I got a lot of military cards. I guess I'll just go military. And I was like taking stuff from both sides, and then I was just building up my points. And I think I won by like 4 or 5 points, and that was just dumb luck, I think. And then the second time I won was the same way, but at least I knew a strategy at this point. I was like, oh, military. Yeah, I did it on purpose the second time. But it never worked again because they caught on to what I was doing. So then they were like, keep all the military cards. We know what he's up to. I was like, damn.
Did you see the new version of Seven Wonders?
I didn't even realize there was a new version.
They announced it, I think, during Gen Con, but I don't know what anniversary, but it's whatever X year anniversary, and they've redid all of the graphic design. It looks so clean. It's like black and gold is one of my favorite aesthetics, and it is that to a T. It's just they moved some of the iconography. I translated the new one.
I think you had posted about this too.
Yeah, I was very excited to talk about it.
Did they give you a copy of it?
Yes, it's on its way.
Oh, okay. I was going to be like, you don't have to tell me. That's cool, man, when you get the free stuff with it.
That's not why I do it, but it's a perk.
No, I get it. I didn't mean it that way.
When I announced it, though, I was describing, because they had just, like, revealed the cover, but not the interior, and I was like, oh, just wait till you see it. Everything looks really badass. And someone was like, what do you mean? How is a board game badass? And I'm like, I don't really know how to define badass to you. Like,
yeah.
At it or you don't.
Well, next time you work on a game, you'll have the definition for badass ready to go. So you could be like, yes, you should have been like black and gold is badass, man.
Yeah.
I get it though. Sometimes you have to like visually see it. Like when you said the black and gold version, it reminded me of the King of Tokyo.
Dark.
That has that dark version. So Cam and Miranda have been trying to get me a copy. I guess their warehouses aren't shipping stuff right now. What's that?
Because it's super limited. It's one and done per run.
Yeah, I was just like, I feel like I'm not gonna ever get it, which is whatever. But I had to reach out and ask. I'd be like, it'd be great if you guys can hook me up. But yeah, I feel like the specialty versions like that are kind of neat if you do them right.
Yeah.
I was trying to talk about one more game. Do you play Dominion?
Okay, so this is like one of the evergreen games that is on everyone's list, and I've never played it. However, I don't really like deck building, even though I love Seven Wonders. There's a million expansions for it, though. So I know.
Yeah, my friends have like boxes.
The big box?
They got all these expansions. They got them all. Well, it's just like a regular like card collector's box full, but he like made little tabs for everything, and then they run this app that tells you which ones to. If you're playing regular Dominion, it tells you which cards to put out. If you're playing the Sea Coast or whatever it is, it tells you which ones to pull from there. So it's very random that way, which is fun, and it's one of the few games I'm actually not bad at. If I play my cards right, and the online version. So we've been playing it online. It's pretty good.
On the web or as an app?
Yeah, it's on their website and it's
Oh,
free to play. You just create an account and you can
nice.
invite. I think you can have up to 5 friends or 6 friends in there with you
There was an expansion just announced recently, like during this year, and I was super surprised about that.
for
'Cause
Dominion.
yeah,
Man, those guys are just cranking out. I mean, it's just like, I mean, if you got a product that sells, why not?
yeah. I just remember working in college at a game store, and it had expansions then already. So I have to go look up when it was actually published. Um,
Yeah, it's been around for a while. Cause some of the early art, you're like, kind of reminds me of the old like card arts on some games. Like, so that's the one thing I did like about. I think I mentioned the new Hero Quest was like, the old Hero Quest had really good art for its time.
mhm.
And the new one just basically updated it, and I thought this looks kind of cool. I'm still nostalgic for the old stuff, but there is a funny video if you haven't seen it. Just look up Hero Quest review on YouTube, and there's this like total nerdy dungeon master looking dude. He's got like this long, like dwarvish beard, and he's just talking about how Hero Quest is the best game ever made. It's like a funny review, but it's enjoyable, and I kind of was hoping he would do one for the new one, but yeah, we'll see. Um, I am going to wrap this up soon. So, if are there any other games that we didn't mention that are products that everyone should be playing? I don't know.
um,
I
oh,
feel like Cool Mini has kind of not made any cool games recently. Like there was a time where I was like, that game's cool. That game's cool.
I still love Potion Explosion. That I think is my favorite game that they've ever done.
Potion Explosion.
You don't
What
know
is?
this one?
Mm-mm.
It's
Tell
not
me.
one of their miniature games. It's imported from an Italian studio called
Okay.
Horrible Guild now, but it uses marbles. So you have this like I forget how many lanes uh, track, but it's full of marbles, different colors, and you're going to pick a marble, and if the two marbles that clack together from the space that you just pulled from, if they're the same color, you get to pick them up too. And if the next marbles that touch are the same color, you get to pick them up too. So these marbles are the ingredients for your potions, and you have like different like vials that have recipes
Okay.
on them that you're trying to fill. But they're all wacky. Like they give you special powers, and the artwork is very kooky. It's
I'll
a
have to
ton of
look
fun.
that one up.
There's an app too that's really good.
Potion Explosion. The
Hmm.
game, the dungeon crawler game that I was talking about earlier was from Cool Mini.
Mm.
I just can't remember what it was called. It's part of their line. It's got little sculpts there, like little dudes inside of it, little anime characters, and it's a fun game. I just can't remember what it's called. It's so fun. I can't remember the name of the game. And I suck. I'm
I
aware.
think I can picture. I also don't know the name, but I think this is another one I played with Miranda. Um,
Yeah, and the last game I bought from them was Gateway Uprising, which I
mm,
remember my booth last year at Gen Con. I was right next to Sean Murray,
mhm.
who I actually mentor with too for world building stuff, and that's his game. That's his whole
Oh.
world. He is there's let's just say it's a rumor because he hasn't decided yet, but I think he's going to reboot it. And I my friends and I had sent him we sent him a bunch of broken mechanics. Like we were playing it and just writing down things like this is wrong, this doesn't work on a game that's out, like been released. I'm like, did you not play test this? What's going on here? Um,
Uh-oh.
I mean, we were super nice about it. It was just like it was. Sometimes you put out a game and it's slightly unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep,
know,
been there.
so that's what it was. It was like there's certain things he could have done differently, and I wrote it all down. And then when he said he's gonna, and what's cool is Simon was super chill. They gave him like all his stuff back. Like he
All
doesn't
right.
have to put it out through them. Like he can.
Oh,
They gave him all the files and everything. I guess I was like, see, that's a cool company. Like they could have been like, we own the rights to all this shit. You can't have any of it. Good luck.
mm,
But they were like, no, man, they literally, it's his story to tell. But they were really nice about it, and they gave him the files back, which gives him an opportunity to reproduce it if he wants to, which I think is,
yeah, keep working on it.
yeah. And that's why I told him, I was like, if you're gonna reproduce it, fix all this shit.
Make
Like
it a
like
2.0.
it's like 12 items, man. I'm like, get it done. And sometimes maybe it's not broken. Sometimes we just found something that we didn't disagree with. Like that happens with Gloomhaven. Like when we look in the forums and stuff, we're like, oh, I guess that is how you play it.
Yeah. Well,
So
this happens sometimes. Like, so we had our recent Kickstarter, Dinosaur World, and we put the current version on Tabletop Simulator, so people can play it. And
yep.
so, of course, people play it. They have thoughts. They have feedback. Um, and one person left on Board Game Geek, like
Oh
they
no.
really did not have a good time, and they listed all the points. They're like, this strategy seems broken. Why would anyone want to do this? This was really difficult. So one of the designers hopped in, and he's like, well, this is why we did these things, because not everyone plays like you.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, house rule whatever you want as long as you have fun. That was our goal when
Yes.
we made this game, is so you can have enjoyable moments.
Right.
So do what you want to do.
And they were as long as I feel like a lot of people when they get an opinion back like that are super chill about it. Like, oh yeah, you're right. But a lot of people double down, and you're just like, you're just being mean now, just for the sake of being mean.
Yeah.
Um,
Fortunately, this person, like, their tone in the original post was like snippy, like kind of made
yeah,
my
yeah.
raise. I'm like, you're not nice.
Yeah, you're a mean person.
um,
So
but once it's like the keyboard warrior. As soon as you realize you're talking to an actual person with feelings who
yeah,
sees what you're saying, then you calm down and you act more nice.
and yeah, and I think like fans like that are I'm thankful for. When they can understand. Like I've had on a side note, I've had problems with like shipping stuff out once the pandemic started because my
Yeah.
vendors have been having issues getting stuff to me. Not minus a book, obviously, which I'm still trying to get out the door. But again, vendors are delayed, and everyone who's I'm dealing with has been super chill. So I feel like when you're trying to produce a game or producing a product like artwork and stuff, you want that from your fans because it just stresses you out. You don't need that on top of the fact like your game, the game might not. I'm trying to think of any game that I've ever kickstarted that came out exactly when they said it would.
Oh my God.
I
No.
don't. I don't think
That
it
would
ever
be
happens.
nice.
I'd be
Yeah.
shocked. I'd be shocked if it ever happened. I think the closest maybe I came. I funded this. It's still sitting here. Growl. It's like
Mm.
a card game. What I thought was cool is you can get a version with just the cards, like no fancy box or
Oh,
anything.
that kind of thing. Oh.
And I could play this. I'll send you a link to it later. You can get a version with the box, and it comes with all the fancy stuff. But like, they closed it out, and I'm guessing it's because it's a card game, obviously. But they closed it out, and like 2 or 3 weeks later, I had the game. Which,
Wow.
again, I think it's because it's a card game, and that's why they wrote this. And maybe it's because mine doesn't have a box. Like I got mine right away. But yeah, I think people need to understand, like the book, people have been super chill, but like some people I've had to like have they were nice enough to email me instead of posting it on Kickstarter and calling me out and saying stuff, and I explained to them like it's a book, it takes time, it's got to go through. Same thing the game has to go through. It's got to go through
Mhm.
reviews. People have to test it. Like in my case, I had 4 people proofread it, and then my editor and I had to go through that again, and then
Mhm.
going back to the designer who made our changes, and then we have to go through it again to make sure the designer actually made the changes. And I'm just like, this is a fucking headache.
Well,
But
plus like print samples too, making sure the quality and all that.
and that's what's happening now, right? So like, I've sent files to the designer. The designer's gonna have them back to me by Sunday, probably, hopefully. I'm
Fingers
crossing my
crossed.
fingers. And then by next week, my printer's gonna print up samples. Same thing with the games, right? Like, if you're dealing with a company in the U.S., which is not going to happen, you're probably dealing with a company in China. It takes time for that product to get to you, and then you got to look at it and be like, these colors are all off,
Yep.
or
Yeah.
some
Well,
crazy.
so for reprints, they're slightly easier because we have an existing copy of the game. But then my
Hmm.
teammate takes that game and compares literally every inch of it to the new printing and makes notes. And if there are issues, and you have to go back. But there's always, always, always unforeseen things.
Yep,
Like the meeple shape could be cut wrong, and you don't notice it until
you're
everything else.
holding it. Yeah, I think a lot of people understand that, which and I think it's like it's very rare that somebody doesn't
Mm-hmm.
get that, you know, and like with I've not had anyone say anything like give my money back, I'm done with this. I have had people reach out and be like, hey man, where's this at, you know, where you at with this, like can you post an
Mm-hmm.
update, cool. And then with the stuff I was supposed to ship out, like dude, I was sitting on things from like August from Gen Con, and I just shipped it out like 3 weeks ago because that's how long it took my vendors to get stuff to me. You know, like one of my vendors essentially was out of business until like a month ago.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think a lot of people, because online shopping is such a thing and online shopping from big suppliers is such a thing, they get humongous discounts on shipping. But if you were to send each thing that you receive in a separate shipment, you wouldn't make any money.
right?
Like, you have to consolidate as much as possible,
Yep.
so you don't spend money on pointless things.
Well, it's also like I'm like sitting here like I'm one person who's got to box everything up and ship it to you. I'm not
Mhm.
like an Amazon warehouse. You know, I can't get things to you fast. You know, like,
Right.
and then people are like, luckily all of them are super chill. They're like, no, I get it, man. I was like, I can't ship you a product I don't have. But like, I at one point I'd put on my website that it takes 2 to 3 weeks to ship something out. Because in my head I thought, for my own sanity, I should let people know. But
Hmm.
then everybody was like, take that down. Like you know, like you can't guarantee that. Like like most of the time, I've been shipping stuff out in like a week
Hmm.
without a pandemic, obviously. You know, so I don't know. Like I'm trying to get the book out the door by the end of the year. You know, I have friends who want to do a board game and they put it all on hold till next year. You know, and they went back to playtesting because it's like it's not worth rolling the dice. So
Yeah, our release schedule too. I think Pandasaurus had, so I joined over the summer, but they had like one release or so a month. But
yeah,
then the pandemic hit, they put it all on pause, had one in June, two in August, then four in October, and then everything else was pushed to 2021. So we actually have games that are like fully ready. The printer has the files, we just have to press go,
you have
but
that many
we
games. That's
paused.
cool, man.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, man. Just press your shoulder. All right, well, let's wrap up this call
Yeah.
because we're over the hour now. And I will try to combine the two videos since the first one stopped after 10 minutes, I think. But
Mhm.
thanks for being on.
Really, thanks for
I'm going
inviting
to
me.
have you back to talk about, I mean, we're going to do an episode about graphic novels.
Yes. Oh,
I,
so excited.
I think Stephanie is going to join us for that one. I can't remember. I know there's at least two other people. So again, you know, it's Panicle Podcast for Geeks. My goal has been to talk about nerd and geek culture. My secondary goal has been to get more female representation and people of color on the show.
Awesome.
Just two things I've always fought for on the last show I was involved with. Um, so cool. Thanks for anyone who's watching. I think at some point we had about 6 people watching,
Oh, awesome.
which is pretty cool.
Hi,
Um,
everyone.
and then we'll talk to you guys later. I'm gonna stop the stream.